This afternoon, we are still following the impact of President Donald Trump's efforts to cut spending and shrink the federal workforce. Those cuts have hit agencies like USAID and the USDA. Even the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, otherwise known as NOAA, has been targeted by this. Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon has been looking into this as well. And Nick, talk to us about what these latest changes are.
Yeah, so yesterday we noticed that the Southern Regional Climate Center based at Texas A&M has run out of funding. Now, when you go to their website, you are met with this message. It says the base funding for the Southern Regional Climate Center and 3 other regional climate centers around the country has lapsed. Until funding is resumed, these services will be unavailable. So to give us some insight on what these centers do, we invited John Nielsen Gammon, the director of the Southern Regional Climate Center at Texas A&M, but also the Texas's state climatologist to the show. John, thanks for joining us. For people at home, can you explain the purpose of the 6 regional climate centers around the country and the work that you do there?
Yeah, certainly. So NOAA, through the National Centers for Environmental Information, are the main archive for climate data and information. Well, what the regional climate centers do is take that information and translate that into useful products and services that people can make use of to make decisions, things like planting dates, estimates of drought severity, information on construction, information on tropical cyclones, all sorts of things. We sort of make the data easy to use and easy to understand and easy to put to good use.
Now, when did you know that the Southern Regional Climate Center was facing funding cuts? And how many people were employed there that now don't have a job?
Well, right now, we actually still don't know for sure whether funding is going to continue. What has happened is there's been, with the new administration, a more extensive process for review of contracts, both within NOAA and the Department of Commerce. And we didn't get a final word on either going to continue or not by the time the previous year's contract ended, which was on Wednesday. So right now we're basically in a holding pattern, waiting to get official final word and get if hopefully it's positive news and we can get funding back in place and we can be up running again in a week or two.
So it sounds like you're in flux right now. What would happen to the weather data that you collected at the Regional Climate Center if the funding is not restored, and who will it impact the most?
Yeah, well, we don't collect data specifically, although one of the services we host is the service that NOAA uses for correcting bad climate data. I think we all have an interest in making sure the climate data is accurate as possible, so that service would go away. And we also, as I mentioned, we help with drought monitoring. We provide maps of drought severity on a county and sub-county scale. And that information is relevant for anybody who's water sensitive, but particularly ranchers in the area. They're eligible for relief funding from the USDA if their county is at a certain level of drought severity. And without that county-specific information, it'll be very difficult to tell when ranchers ought to be eligible for relief.
Now, you're also the Texas state climatologist. What will you do if the Southern Regional Climate Center ceases to exist going forward? How did you interact with both of those titles, and how much were they tied together?
Yeah, well, the fact that the Southern Regional Climate Center employed several people, both full-time and graduate students, essentially meant that we had a nice resource of personnel and expertise that we could bring to bear temporarily on other issues that might arise within the state climate office, and we could redirect the people for a temporary time and support them through the state office to tackle those issues. Without having the Southern Regional Climate Center, we would lose that capacity. We'd be limited in what we could do for the state and for its citizens, and the things that we did do would take a lot longer because we wouldn't have the tools of the regional climate centers to rely on for easy access to data.
Now, just last question here. Are there any other cuts to the weather data gathering, dissemination, regionally, statewide, locally, that you're aware of or down the pipeline here within the next few weeks or months that would affect your job as the state climatologist?
Well, there are things that could potentially affect weather forecasting. Don't know specifically about I don't work on the day-to-day forecasting basis. I'm on the climate timescale, but the memo for guidance for the NOAA budget for next year for the Trump administration wants to basically zero out many services that are provided at the regional level, not necessarily specifically ours, but others as well, including a program that we've applied to for funding for to basically better understand how higher temperatures are impacting drought severity. We know that when we have a lack of rainfall, that matters, but how much do those higher temperatures matter too? And again, that circles back to making sure that we're making the best possible estimate of impacts on farmers, ranchers, and everybody else.
And John, did these cuts worry you?
They certainly do. The research enterprise, like the universities, requires stability. A student has come on with funding, you need to fund them until graduation. In fact, we prioritize our students so much that if we do lose funding, unfortunately, the first people that would be cut would be full-time staff members, and the students we'd keep as long as we could possibly support them. All
right, John Nielsen-Gammon, also the state climatologist for Texas, but also head of the Southern Regional Climate Center. Thanks for your time today.
You're welcome.